Yo, what is up? Welcome to Ninja Geek Games. So, Disney's Lorcana, the much-hyped trading game, has arrived with a bang so big you could almost hear it from the back of the queue for Ravensburger's booth at Gen Con. Almost. And yes, I've climbed onto a bandwagon of monumental size filled with fans of TCGs and Disney, those who like long lines, and others with a great fear of missing out. But which category do I fit into? Well, none. I was curious. Like the hairy little street monkey Abu. Did I pre-order, stand outside a store for 16 hours, or take on a dragon and kiss a princess where Lorcana was the reward? No, my friends. I simply walked to my local gaming store, gave a courteous salute to the owner, and purchased a starter deck with some boosters quicker than you can say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Lorcana is a fantastical realm where you, an Illuminator, can summon our well-loved Disney characters and special items called glimmers using magic ink. Both you and your opponent will have pre-constructed deck of cards, and over the course of the game you will play these cards to the table to use character abilities and items, carry out actions and take on quests and challenges. The aim of the game is to be the first player to collect 20 pieces of lore before your deck runs out. So, what we have here are starter decks that come with everything you need for one player only. These come with 60 cards that just need a shuffle, and you can be on your way to have Mickey Mouse slap Donald Duck around the bare arse with a magic broom. That's stuck in there now. There are currently 3 starter decks available, each representing 2 of Lorcana's ink types. The starter decks I have include Sapphire and Steel, as well as Amber and Amethyst. The third is Emerald and Ruby, and these ink sets become the base of deck construction, but I'll discuss that later. Each deck comes with 4 card types. You have characters and items that are called glimmers, and actions and songs. All cards come with a cost that needs to be paid in order to play the card. Any with the gold ring around the cost means that the card can be used as ink, which is the currency used to pay for cards. The coloured band across the middle represents one of the 6 ink types the card belongs to, and all characters have a strength and willpower stat indicating how much damage they inflict and their health during challenges. Any abilities and effects are located here, and this is the lore symbol, and all characters provide different values when they are sent questing. I'm not going to go into detail on the rules and specifics of cards and abilities, but instead give you a basic overview of gameplay. At the start of the game, you have 7 cards in hand, so your first step is to get cards into your play area. As the game continues, you'll get the chance to draw from your deck, as well as ready any cards that were exerted in the previous round. All cards have a cost, so you simply can't throw a sweet princess into your play area and sit back smugly watching your opponent's world fall to pieces. No, you need to pay for her services. To do this, you place cards from your hand with this gold ring around the cost into your inkwell, and over the course of the game this will gradually fill up. Ink cards can be exerted to now pay for cards. Items and characters can go into your play area where you can use their effects and abilities. But characters cannot be used in any way in the turn they're first played. Thematically, you need to wait until their ink dries, which is quite thematic, I suppose. Action effects are played immediately and put into your discard pile, and songs are similar except that you can choose for your characters to belt them out at the top of their voice. Instead of paying ink from your inkwell, you can exhaust a character card in play if their cost is high enough to carry out this song effect. Characters can go on merry adventures by questing. Here they visit dark and wonderful locations, use spells and wield enchanted weapons. Basically, you exert the card and gain any lore. The last action our brave heroes can do is challenge an exerted enemy character. Here, both characters use their strength stat to deal damage, and as soon as a character exceeds their will player, they're discarded from play. The game ends when one player has claimed 20 pieces of lore or your deck runs dry. So, what do I think? Is it a dueling card game with groundbreaking mechanics that's going to revolutionise gaming as we know it? No, not for me. Now, this doesn't mean I don't enjoy the game. I like the IP, I mean who doesn't like Disney, right? But my favourite character is Gaston, and do with that what you will. Secondly, I'm not a huge fan of TCGs anyway, but wanted to take a look at Lorcana due to all the hype around it. I can't compare it to other similar games like Magic the Gathering, as I've only dabbled in them and that was some time ago. For Lorcana in particular, I don't feel engaged with the other player. It was just you play cards, I play cards, and all I felt I needed to do was perhaps look at what cards were in play for their next turn. I did like choosing the order of cards to play, activate and exert, as some provided character health, allowing you to challenge another without being discarded, or filling up your precious inkwell. There was no real interaction between players to speak of, no card interruptions or take that actions, which I was quite surprised about. I do like the song mechanic though, of choosing to spend ink or having a character sing a sweet ballad to play its effect, where you can't help but fill in the rest of the line. One jump ahead of the bread line. You do have to manage your ink currency well or you'll struggle, and again this can depend on which starter deck that you use. Some abilities from Glimmers in play have an additional cost to use, whether it's exert the card or more ink. The challenge action is pretty simple, tit for tat. You'll both take damage where one or both may be banished, but you'll also have to decide this over questing, which is even more basic. Exert the character, claim lore, although this can be gained through certain character abilities without questing. The starter decks come with tokens, but you'll likely want to use dice or an upgrade of some form to record character damage and lore collection. Some character abilities support your strategy for gaining lore or banishing opponent cards, so you'll want to keep them in play as long as possible, although your opponent will likely realise this. I do like the fact that you have to use cards in hand to fill your inkwell, and sometimes you need to decide carefully as this depends on the stage of the game, how powerful the card is, and how many ink cards you already have available. Also, you only get to place one ink each turn, so this can be a very slow process, especially if you want Simba or Maui from the steel decks. I like the narrative behind the IP and the theme, but for me it was expecting a little more with the artwork. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but wasn't awe-inspiring. That is, except for Beast and Captain Hook. I actually thought these were pretty sinister looking cards, and some of the foil effects are a nice touch. However, the gameplay was a little flat. If I never play it again, I won't be disappointed, but I've only used the starter decks. So let's dig a big hole and find us a money pit. Lorcana allows you to construct decks from 1 or 2 ink sets. Here you can mix sets on the starter decks or buy boosters which contain about 12 cards, not knowing what you're going to get. At the minute I feel deck construction wouldn't be a problem for me as we're in chapter 1, but as time goes by and thousands of cards get developed, this would result in endless purchases of boosters and a never-ending combination to form your deck. Can Ravensburger also guarantee that cards from this chapter won't be obsolete or banned from tournament play in the future? I just see this as the best deck goes to the player who spent the most, was lucky, or sat on eBay longer than the Fantasia movie. So, although I like the game and it will definitely appeal to some, there were no novel mechanics or mind-blowing card combos for me. It fell a little flat. I can certainly understand the hype from the perspective of the IP, but not the game itself. I didn't feel the game was as engaging as some of the deck builders I play, or even other dueling card games that only allow pre-constructed decks in the base game. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on the game, its comparison to Magic and the like, and even what you think of those ridiculously high cost cards seen on eBay. Madness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. This is Ninja Geek Games. Cheers.